with this summit, Boris Johnson was the host, and in his speech, he said a lot of things, but one thing in particular that stood out to me was that, more or less, just to paraphrase what he said, Africa has paid more attention to dealing with China. What did you make of that?
It's interesting and also laughable to me. Interesting because it sounds very much like what we've listened to coming out of Washington for some time now, but laughable because of what essentially it entails. Both the US and Britain have been growing their business and investment relationship with China over the past decade much, much more than with Africa. And yet they express concerns that Chinese are investing in Africa, that Africa is looking towards China. There are two things that I should say about this. The first one, Africa is not a juvenile. Africa can learn how to grow its relationship with Britain while also growing its relationship with China. It cannot be like a suitor being told, love us and hate China.
Yeah.
And the ones who are telling you are loving China and liking you at the same time. Secondly, most of the intelligentsia in Africa went to school in Britain. Their children are attending universities in Britain. Their families speak English at home. They don't speak any Chinese. If you start seeing China is growing as an investment partner, as a trading partner, you should ask yourself, what is China doing right that Britain is not doing? Why doesn't the cultural proximity of the intelligentsia of Africa to Britain translate in closeness in commerce and investment with Britain? It means you're not paying sufficient attention to the possibilities and the concerns of Africa the way the Chinese are doing. And I think if Brexit can be utilized as an opportunity to pay close attention to Africa's desire to build productive capacity, create employment for its youth, improve manufacturing-driven new economies and emergence as players internationally, then there will be no problem about trading with China while also trading with Europe.
We've had a lot of people saying that Africa is going to be more or less like a field where the economic powers of this world will be running to invest. Is this what we're seeing now?
I don't think anybody's going to run to any place to invest. Africa has a potential to be the main destination of new growth in the world as the new manufacturing capital of the world. But African leaders have to do the fundamental work at home and then open those opportunities to the rest of the world. To me, that competitiveness of Africa's investment community are going to be driven by what Africans do at home before we look to what the world can do with us. But it is true. You look at the demographics, you look at the natural resource endowment, you look at the creation of a large common market, Africa is ready to happen.
And just touching on briefly before I let you go, it has been reported that by 2050, the increment in the world's population would take place in Africa.
Yes.
Of course, if you look at the current state of most African countries, one will ask, is Africa ready?
Yes and no. One, Africa has fingered the reality that it has a potential to be the main driver of the human resource of the world. But the no side of it is that Africa is not aligning its demographic change with building the human capital. We're not paying enough attention in investing in the human product as a competitive producer, as technically empowered, as innovative, as exposed to the best education possibilities, which is necessary to convert our population from unskilled to the skilled drivers of the world.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.